Survivors, welcome to Genesis, arguably one of ARK's hardest maps, and I've taken on the challenge of spending the next 100 days here. There are 5 different biomes for us to explore, with the bog being quote-unquote the easiest, which let me tell you, it is nowhere near easy. This video was originally going to be hardcore, but with the fact that I have never played on this map and the various glitches I came across, it'll just be a normal 100-day video. So friends, sit back, relax, grab yourself a snack, and enjoy the show. We started this journey off on day 1 with my hands looking really messed up, and let me tell you, it wasn't just a day 1 thing, because by the end of this playthrough my hands were still jacked. But moving on, of course, we had to start gathering all of the necessary materials to be able to survive in this ARK. So we started gathering some stone, fiber, flint, thatch, and wood. And with that, I was able to craft myself up some clothes for protection. Towards the end of day 1, after gathering some more wood, thatch, and fiber, I was able to make myself a little thatch square. Day 2 started off a lot worse than I wanted it to. It wasn't just the fact that I was being chased by a couple of dillos and had to fight them, but there were snakes attacking my base that I had just built. But after going through a couple of spears, I was finally able to take down the dillo, and I harvested his body for the raw meat and hide. Shortly after, I went back to my base to stop snakes on a plane from destroying everything I had worked so hard for, and I started throwing spears at him, and I actually killed him. Towards the end of day 2, I had a couple of essentials crafted up. I made myself a forge, smithy, campfire, and mortar and pestle, and then I began crafting myself some narcotics so I could take down some dinos for them to be mine. I also made the grave mistake of shooting this Sarco thinking I could take it down before it got to my base, and then this happened. Oh no, oh no. Oh, what have I done? I can kill this thing, right? Oh, no, no, don't knock. Oh, I'm so dead. Oh, I'm so dead. I'm so dead. Oh, I can run. I'm fine. Come on, take this Arco down. I am solid. That was way too close. Wait, is that a raptor? Is that a raptor? Oh, that's a raptor. Go in, go in, go in! Spawn at the bog. They said it'll be easy, they said. Oh my god.
Let's you and I agree. That never...
Elena, I wish that never happened. Day 3 started off a lot better than day 2. I finally made it back to my base, recovered all of my items, and then I tranked out this level 130 raptor. And when he tamed, I named him Gage for good measures. He was my very first dino. Towards the end of day 3, I upgraded my base to wood so that maybe raptors wouldn't bust in and kill me again. And like I said, I've never played on Genesis before, so when I found out that there was missions, I got really excited because it gave me something extra to do other than just grind and farm. The first mission I ended up running was the Spider-Man swinging one, and I gotta say, this was so much fun. If it was up to me, I would just run this for the rest of this video. But after finishing this mission on Gamma, Beta, and Alpha multiple times, this is all the beautiful loot I walked out with, and I gotta say, it was well worth it. Oh, also, do you remember when I said that the bog is supposed to be the easiest location? Well, yeah, just watch closely. Bruh. Leave me alone! Leave me alone! Let me go, let me go, let me go! What is that? Oh no. Oh. Son of a... Bro, this is so... Be more careful? Really? That's what you're gonna say to me right now? I ended up running all the way back to where that crazy thing killed me. I recovered all my gear and put this skin on my raptor, and I gotta say, it looks pretty sweet. I then started running more missions because the loot was just way too good not to keep running missions, so I started doing this Capro race. And for this one, I was able to complete it on Gamma and Beta, but Alpha was too difficult for me, so I just moved on. And just after those 2 races, the quality of loot that I received was definitely going to make it easier for me to survive in the bog and other biomes as well. Day 4 began with me playing some dodo basketball, and this one was definitely fun. You get to throw a dodo in a hoop and get loot for it. It doesn't get much better than that. So I ended up running the dodo basketball on all difficulties, and I succeeded, but obviously the loot wasn't that great because it was a very easy mission. When I got back to my base, I decided it was time for me to make a crossbow, and then this swarm of bugs started hovering over my base. Shortly after, I discovered the Hexagon store, which was the greatest thing I've ever experienced in my life. The fact that I could get most of the materials that I needed for anything in the Hexagon store, now I would just have to run missions instead of grinding non-stop. I was really excited excited to see where this playthrough was going to bring me, especially seeing how different it was from all the other maps. You don't spawn in on a beach and have it easy. Anyways, this Spino next to my base was just roaming there forever, and I was starting to get really scared. And sure enough, of course, he walks right over my base, and then spots me and attacks me, breaks my armor, so I make a run for it. He murders Gage, and breaks half my base, so it was back to square one. Again. After the Spino's Roid Rage session, I ran back to my little square, and things didn't look that bad other than the fact that I lost Gage. As badly as I wanted to build a trap and trank out that Spino to make it mine, I just did not have enough resources and I wasn't set up enough yet to do it. Or so I thought. Day 5, I finally had enough resources after farming for the rest of day 4 to be able to make myself 4 gateways and 4 gateway doors. I went out a little bit away from my base and started setting up the trap for this Spino. Unfortunately, my brain was all over the place because of the way this video started, so I set up the trap wrong. I tranked the Spino, he started chasing me. I headed towards the trap and realized that I put an extra door before he was even in here. But I decided that I was going to work with what I had and try to get this done. After tranking him for what seemed like an hour, I still felt like I was making no progress and I had no sign of knowing when he was going to be going down. I finally got him to the point where he was running away, so his torpor had to be really high, but there was just too many threats, so I ran around the other side of the rock formation, and when I had gotten to where he was already gone, vanished, out of existence, so I wasted all of those trank arrows to not even get the thing. Later on, I ended up getting this Sarco and I named him Hook. I just needed another tame that I could use for protection instead of just running on foot everywhere. Measly Sarco isn't going to be the fix to all my issues, but it'll surely do better than just a raptor. But now that I had a Sarco, I wanted to head over to the ocean biome to see what that was all about, and also maybe get some missions done over there too. Now I wish I recorded the first bit of me being in the ocean, but I ended up doing the bottlenose blitz, and as soon as I finished the mission, the game, when it pulled me out, forgot that there was water, so I fell all the way to the bottom of the ocean and died to fall damage and lost everything. I ended up running the race again just so I could show you guys what I'm talking about. As soon as I finished this mission, the physics of water just completely disappear. So when it pulls me out of this mission, as you can see, I can just walk and run underneath water like it's not even there. So I hope you guys understand, but I'm tired of the setbacks that aren't even my fault. So if that happens again, I'm just gonna use the fly cheat. But anyways, I ended up doing bottlenose blitz on Gamma, Beta, and Alpha, completed them all, so I was able to walk out with some pretty good loot. But, of course, as soon as I was pulled out of this mission, the same thing happened. I was stuck on this rock, so I used the fly cheat to get my Sarco, and then we were off to go find a different mission. I was just trying to see if all of the missions in this biome were glitched or if it was just that one. Day 6 began with me running the Wave Race 64 race a bunch of times because, number 1, this one was fun, and 2, the loot drops were just really good. As you can see, I walked out with some really good gear, and I was just super excited that I finally had some Ascendant clothes. I then went back into the depths of the ocean and started working on killing this Basilo for the oil. But it wasn't until this very moment in this playthrough that I realized that X creatures take greatly reduced damage from your tames. I mean, 58, this was gonna take forever. But if you look at the amount of oil I got, it was well worth it. If you've never played on Genesis like myself, there's these beautiful things called glitches, and they are like explorer notes, but a lot easier to spot because of the pink ray coming from the sky. And if the dinos trying to kill you weren't enough, there's also whirlpools in the ocean, violent eruptions in the volcanic biome, and avalanches in the Arctic biome, so yes, there are plenty of ways for you to die on this map. Anyways, later on in day 6, I had been working on this Basilo for a while and I finally got him tamed up. To some people, the Basilo is considered the king of the ocean because of its thick blubber, so jellyfish and eels have no effect on it, which is pretty awesome. At the start of day 7, I made myself a little base on this little island just so I had somewhere else to call home other than the bog. Day 7 wasn't super eventful, but I did find out about terrariums, these beautiful underwater pods that give you a lot to explore. They also offer you some very rare resources like red, blue, and green gems, crystal, obsidian, metal. For PvP players, they can be some very good base locations. Another very useful thing about the ocean is there's clams on the wall that offer a decent amount of silica pearls, and they are everywhere. Day 8, I finally made my way down deeper into the ocean to find myself a beautiful source of metal and obsidian. I don't remember the exact coordinates, but it's very close to the motor fight terminal. And while you may be asking, hey, why don't you just use the Hexagon exchange store for metal? There are certain resources in that store that are just way too overpriced and very expensive, so it's just actually more worth it to go out and farm those materials yourself. As day 8 was coming to an end, I had a bright idea of actually building a base down in this terrarium, which at the time seemed like the coolest and best idea, but as far as land dinos went, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I would have to cryopod them up to travel anywhere, which was gonna be a huge pain in the butt. Day 9 was a smack in the damn face because I did not know that if a Basilo was too deep into the ocean, it took damage over time. So yes, my Basilo died a horrible death, and I am so sorry. The fact that it was already day 9 and I kept switching my base locations around, I only had a Sarco, I was not feeling good about my progress. It felt like I hadn't gotten anywhere, to be honest. So at the start of day 10, I ended up going out and being productive and getting myself another Basilo. And then shortly after that, I ended up doing the locked and loaded mission where you have to kill a brute plesiosaur and a bunch of other megalodons. When I started this mission, I had no idea what I was in for. I didn't know that you were supposed to go in with a full team, and I just went in with 2 dinos, but we got it done. Days 11 and 12, I started something that I had absolutely no experience in, and that was crafting these blood pouches or blood bags. Apparently, you need blood bags to tame those spiders that pulled me off my raptor at the beginning of this video, so I was gonna try my best and do that. What I didn't know and what I wasn't told is the fact that this takes forever, because each time you draw your own blood, you lose 25 health, and you have to wait 5 seconds in between each blood draw, so it's a very time-consuming process. And while drawing blood, I was also attacked by this Capro that I decided I would knock out. Why not add another croc to the team and name him Captain? And when I tell you that days 13, 14, and 15 was all devoted to drawing blood, I'm not joking around. Apparently these spiders can take up to 150 pouches to tame, and that also does not account for the fact that you may mess up and have to start taming a different spider. All I wanted was some spider love, but instead I got ruined by a bunch of crocodiles, so thanks game for that. Later on in day 15, I got really lucky by finding this Spino stuck on a rock, so I decided I was going to knock it out, and it was level 130, which is the best thing that's happened to me so far in this game. In the beautiful morning of day 16, my Spino finally woke up, and I had a name ready to go, and it was going to be Feraligator, except I didn't know how to spell Feraligator, so I spelled Feraligator and not Gator. That was toxic, I'm sorry. On day 17, I ran for my sorry little life as I was luring this Spino into my trap. Wanted to get myself another Spino, that way I could start breeding for the harder missions. Unfortunately, this Spino was only level 50, but it was just gonna have to do. My other Spino was level 130 before the taming experience, so I think I'll be fine. I named the second Spino Jar Jar, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I have no clue why. But of course, there was no time to waste. I wanted to get to breeding and start building a massive team. Days 18 through 21, I farmed like an absolute madman. I wanted to build a huge wall around my base, that way no threats could make their way in. But after the longest 3 days of my life, my wall was finally complete, and it looked absolutely amazing. Shortly after building my great wall, I made a couple of platforms and put a bunch of dedicated storage boxes over here for certain materials. Then of course laid down a bunch of torches, got them lit, and threw down my first Spino egg. But of course it was too hot, so after playing football with this egg for about 30 minutes, I finally got it in the correct spot, and we were on our way to our first baby. So I'm actually 100% sure I'm going crazy because the baryonyx over there, I do not remember getting that. When the beautiful offspring came to life, I named it Kalo. Also, this color is really interesting to me because one of my Spinos is a bright blue and the other one is blue and orange, so I don't know where this grayish blue came from, but I dig it. Day 22 rolled around and I felt like being extra risky today. This thing called the Bog Beatdown apparently is waves of enemies, and it sounds like fun, so I decided I was gonna do it. According to a couple of sources, the bow was the best possible option for this starting part, so I grabbed my bow and I was surprised to see that I was doing 10,000 damage, so I guess during missions your damage is buffed. Wave 5 rolled around and the broodmother, to my surprise, showed up, so I decided I was going to grab the fire arrows and take her down. I honestly was not expecting the gamma to be this easy, seeing as what kind of mission this was. Am I going to say that it wasn't worth it? Absolutely not, because if you look at the loot that I just got, I mean the 2 tech helmets alone with that quality, so of course I had no choice but to run it again, but on beta this time, and I gotta say it was definitely quite a bit harder. It wasn't too much work worse than Gamma, I just had to play a little bit smarter and make sure I was aware of my surroundings. After taking her down on Beta, I reveled in my riches, I looked at all my beautiful loot, but unfortunately I knew I wasn't going to be able to do this on Alpha difficulty because I've seen videos of multiple people failing, and I'm one person. Later on that day, I decided I should probably get myself a fabricator built up. I needed to be able to craft higher end gear, or so I thought, but what I didn't know at the time is that each mission had its own specified loot pool. I also got really lazy after doing all my missions and decided I was just going to use most of my points for a bunch of metal and crystal. On day 23, I decided I was going to get over my worst fears and try to tame a Bloodstalker. Multiple times earlier in this playthrough, I tried doing this, but I didn't have grappling hooks and only parachutes, and apparently if you're too far away from the Bloodstalker, they will let go of you midway. So this time I tried getting as close to the thing as possible, and sure enough, when I got to a certain point, it lured me in and did not let go. Finally. I'm just really happy that I made as many blood pouches as I could because man, this thing ate up a lot of them, but we finally tamed it. Me and the Bloodstalker finally reached safe ground. I found the perfect opportunity to name him Senses. I got home from my little spider taming adventure. I was greeted by another Spino egg. When this one hatched up, I named him Claws. I won't show too much of this later on in the video because it's kind of self-explanatory, but I ended up imprinting all of my babies. Made sure I got 100% for that extra boost in stats. On day 24, I decided I was going to do the mission called Cheaper by the Pack, where you have to hunt down a pack of raptors apparently. When doing these kind of missions, I highly recommend that you mute all dialogue because man, Helena was absolutely annoying the piss out of me. Because of the crazy buff and damage on Gamma, I was able to complete this with absolute ease. But what I didn't know is that for Alpha and Beta, you should probably bring a full stack team of imprinted dinos with you. Let me be the example of why you don't bring just one sole dino into this on Beta, because you will get your teeth kicked in and come out of it crying, I promise you. This very moment I knew that all hope was lost and I was just trying to run away to spare my Spino's life. And luckily, something else caught the raptor's attention as I was running away, so I had my life spared. As soon as I was in the clear, I canceled the mission and decided it was time for me to get way stronger. I also figured I'd give you a little showcase of this beautiful spider. Everything about this thing is just the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Who needs to play Spider-Man when all you have to do is hop on ARK and swing your way through biomes? It's majestic. Day 25 started out with me helping a baby frog reach his family, and I felt super happy. It made me feel good inside that I could do something for the greater good. Shortly after helping the frog, I showed this brute Spino who was the real man. And of course it was me. The entirety of day 26 was me running the Beta Bog beatdown over and over again to get better loot, and I also wanted to stack up enough hexagon points to be able to buy all the materials for a chemistry bench. This is all the loot that I walked out of day 26 with, and I was definitely happy on where this was going. At this point, I had everything I needed to make the chemistry bench other than organic polymer, so I was going to go over to the ocean biome to kill the Hesperornises and farm up their bodies for all that organic polymer. Day 27, I spent my time on top of the water killing all the Hesperornises. And as you can see, another really cool thing about the Bloodstalker is they can float on top of water. And you'll see for yourself later on in the playthrough that they are incredibly fast swimmers as well. But with a little bit of hard work, as you can see, I wasn't in the ocean biome for that long and I ended up walking out with a bunch of polymer. When I got back home, I was finally able to make myself the glorious chemistry bench. And of course, the chemistry bench wouldn't run without a generator, so I had to craft one of those up as well. The very main reason why I wanted a chemistry bench wasn't for the cementing paste or narcotics, it was for the gunpowder, because of the final boss fight I was going to need a lot of ammo. And I know it's actually really early to start preparing for the final boss fight, but it'll save me a lot of time for breeding and all of the other odds and ends that I have to do before the final boss fight on my last couple of days. Later on that day, I made my first trip over to the lunar biome to get myself a Tech Rex, because I wanted to use an army of Tech Rexes for the final boss fight. I've got to say, this biome was definitely intimidating because I had never been here before, and as soon as I got here there was radiation and I started overheating immediately. Definitely scary. I was in the lunar biome up until day 28 waiting for this Rex to finally tame up, but I gotta say the wait was definitely worth it because after taming experience he was at level 260. As you can see at the bottom right hand corner of my screen, there is a lot to deal with in this biome, so it's not a place that I wanted to stick around. I of course wanted to get myself a female Tech Rex as well, that way I can start breeding for my final boss army, but today was not the day. I figured at some point I was gonna need a buttload of med breeding brews, so later on day 28, I had enough materials to make myself an industrial cooker. Now at this point, all I needed to do was make up a bunch of narcotics and get myself a bunch of tento berries, and I would have a bunch of med brews. Also, I don't know why it took me this long into the playthrough to cut my hair and make myself actually myself, but yeah, I gave myself romantic hair on day 28. I then of course dyed my hair and beard purple because what would Sizen be without purple hair? I gotta say, I was looking pretty damn good. Shortly after cutting my hair, I took on the project of making myself a greenhouse, which let me just tell you now, I never ended up using the crops that I grew, but just respect me for building it, please. Day 29, I spent my time looking for a high-leveled stego because I wanted a good berry farmer, and I found this level 135, so I decided I was going to put him down. Unfortunately, I didn't have kibble, so the only other option was mayo berries, and it'll take about 120 mayo berries to tame this thing, so I was going to be here for a very long time. After waiting a century for my stego to wake up, it finally did, and I named it Stegrum. And apparently, my base location was amazing for berries because all of this brush was farmable. Later on that day, I decided I was going to go get myself a Phiomia because they are excellent poop farmers. One trank arrow was all it took for this little guy, but I didn't care about the level since it would only be making poop. And just like day dawns, these things tame really fast because of how fast their food levels drop. When Leatherface woke up, I ended up naming him Roast. I'm also not sure what world we're living in, but apparently if you feed a pig white berries, they shit. Moving along, on day 30, I made my way back over to the lunar biome to find myself a level 102 Tech Rex. So of course it only made sense for me to shoot it with a bunch of arrows for it to love me. And after some vigorous petting and bedtime stories, it woke up and I named it Metal AF. I proceeded to go back to the bog where my home was, and as soon as I teleported back, my spider was nowhere to be seen. I ended up going back to the lunar biome exactly where I tamed that Rex, and it was also not there as well. I checked my logs and it did not die, so of course it was the game's fault that I lost my spider, so I just spawned myself in another one. When I got my first Tech Rex, I forgot to name it because I was in the lunar biome and I was kind of in a hurry, so I didn't die. So now it was time to name it, and I decided I was going to name it Tron. They're making babies. After hatching the egg, it was time for me to take care of this infant until he grew up to be a big strong man. On day 31, I made my way over to the Arctic biome to start doing some races. I completed this saber salmon race and the rhino race both on alpha difficulty, and at this point I was looking for a little bit more of a challenge. So it only made sense that I made my way over to the Built Fjord Tough mission and ran through it on gamma and beta. Have you ever been beaten by a wet spaghetti noodle by your girlfriend because she has a twin sister? Days 32 and 33, I ended up going to the volcanic biome to run the Dead Heat race and also the Dodic race. And for those of you who don't know, for the final boss, it requires that you complete 58 missions throughout the entire map, and that's why I'm running so many. Oh, baby, say less. Towards the end of day 33, I ended up doing the scariest beatdown of them all, and that was the Magma Medley Melee. This mission had some of the world's deadliest creatures in it. There was wyverns, there was rock elementals, there was magmasaurs and rexes. It was a complete disaster, but you know what? I pushed my way through it and came out victorious, but I'm gonna be honest, there was no way I was gonna be able to do this on beta. Day 34, I ended up doing it on beta, and I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how I came out alive, but I did come out victorious, just with a lot of broken armor and almost dying multiple times. When I got back to my base, I ended up reassessing my armor situation. I also created boss gear boxes. That way, whenever I went to go fight the boss, everything that was in these boxes I would just bring with me for backup gear. I'm pretty sure this is the last tame that I named for the rest of the video, but this one was Eugene. And after doing the lava beatdown mission, I ended up getting myself a really good pump shotgun, so of course I had to make myself ammo for it. I also have no idea why I started making med brews this early into the playthrough, but I did, so I figured I'd show it. Day 35 began with me adding more clutter to my platform and adding an industrial grill. With that, hopefully now I can stop worrying about cooked meat. Later on, I ended up going back to the bog beatdown area and ran that a couple of times. Day 36, I figured I should finally upgrade my incubation area from standing torches to air conditioners. It honestly makes no sense that the eggs that have to be hot can use air conditioners to incubate, but you know what? We're gonna go with it. And now, at this point, I figured since I had a stronger team that I could run cheaper by the pack on beta. But before I could run that, I had to hatch up the rest of my eggs that I had laying around. It's never too early to start trying to get mutations. The first group of Rexes that I bred would be for harder missions, and then the second group of Rexes, being the mutated group, would be for my boss team. I devoted the entirety of day 37 and 38 for breeding and mutation. After watching a very short video of the boss fight on Gamma, which is what I'm going to be doing it on, I saw how difficult it was just for being Gamma. And after the way Crystal Isle's boss fight went, I decided I was going to actually actually over-prepare this time. Day 39, I headed back over to the lunar biome, and I decided I was going to do the Tokyo Skift race, which let me tell you this was no easy task. I am one hell of a unit when it comes to Forza Horizon, but as soon as I start racing on ARK on what seems to be a hover ship, I am absolutely terrible. I couldn't control this thing to save my damn life. It's like handing your 5-year-old cousin the controller and letting them play a racing game and say you're doing a good job, except I wasn't. So after only completing this on Gamma, I decided I was done making a fool of myself and I wanted to do something even harder. Day 40, I gained the courage to take on the Technological Terror's Wave mission. And you may think since I can jump like I am in Halo, it would be easy, but let me tell you it is not easy at all. It's all fun and games until the Nameless and Reapers and Seekers pop up. That's when it becomes a real challenge. My favorite part of the whole fight was when I was able to use the tech claws because everything swarmed around me, but I was just such a freaking unit and powerhouse, so I was able to slice through everything in my path. And it felt amazing. I've got to say though, with the enemies and available weapons for this mission, it was definitely my favorite so far. On day 41, I decided I was going to head over to the lava biome again to get myself an Allo. I figured that a team of Allos might do better than the Spinos with the harder missions because of their pack bonus and notable bleed attack. The Allo I knocked out ended up being level 140, so I definitely had a good start. Now it was just time for me to go out and find a male Allo. So I did exactly that, except this time I took out my handy dandy net gun and trapped him. Pranking him the first time didn't work out, so I had a second go at it. The only difference is this time we were successful. And after a long day out with Peter Parker, we finally got back home and I decided it was time for me to let my hair down and start breeding again. But before getting to the Allos, I had to hatch these Rex eggs because they were waiting in line first. And out of all the Rexes you see on screen right now, we still had no mutations, but I was staying hopeful. Day 42, our first Allo was born, and they were hatching at level 181, which was pretty awesome. Day 43 was a lot like day 42 in the fact that I was hatching eggs, except now my Allo team was a lot bigger. As far as the Allosauruses, I wasn't planning on getting any mutations or anything because these were going to be mission mutts. And I originally thought I overbuilt this base, having too much space everywhere, but apparently not because now it is extremely crowded. Later on that day, me and Census headed over to the Arctic biome to get ourselves a Untitled. I looked around for a very long time and couldn't find anything higher than this level 45, so I decided I was just gonna settle. I wanted a Yudi as a leader for my missions, that way he could give that courage buff. Being as I was using Mutton, the Yudi didn't take too long to wake up, and when it did, I named it Iroar. Then literally 5 minutes later, I spotted a level 135 Untitled. So of course, you already know I had to put the work on him and make him mine. Now we wait, my friends. And no disrespect at all to the OG, but this is the true Iroar. And the next thing on my bucket list was to build a team of Megalodons so I could fight Motor, whatever Motor is. So I tamed myself a couple of Megalodons, and then breeding would take place in a couple of days. The worst part of the whole trip was the fact that Census died because his oxygen levels were too low, and I had no idea. Day 44, I hatched up some more Rex eggs and did some more breeding, and then I packed up my team and started heading over to the cheaper by the pack terminal. Now that I had a small army, I was hoping that I could defeat this on beta. And as you can see, the hard work paid off because we were doing a lot better this time. Luckily, this go around, we absolutely shredded the Raptor with only a couple of Allo deaths, so it could have been a lot worse. I highly suggest if you're playing on Genesis that you run these kinds of missions because they are great for Dino XP. Day 45, I got tired of traveling by foot, so I went out and got myself another Bloodstalker, and luckily this one was a pretty decent level. Fortunately for me, I had enough blood bags after the first one I tamed to be able to get this one. Since I wasn't living in the ocean biome, I started a little box for all my ocean tames. I had my Basilo and a couple of Megalodons in there for now. Days 46 through 48, I found myself running the manhunt missions over and over again. And at this point, I wasn't even doing it for the loot anymore. I was doing it so I could set myself up on the hexagon points for future purchases. On day 49, I found myself in the ocean biome after crafting an ocean platform because it was time for me to start breeding my Megalodons. Definitely wasn't a permanent location by any means, but just a spot that I could breed for now. And for the nerd side of me, I'm sorry, but I had to do some testing, so hear me out. Any and all Megalodons that I tamed earlier in this video were replaced by regular Megalodons for the sake of content and my own personal testing. Whatever level parents I ended up taming earlier on, I replaced them with the same exact level, except with the non-X version. The very reason I did this is because all the motor fights I've ever seen were with the X Megalodons, seeing as that's all that spawns on this map. And just for my personal knowledge, knowledge and anyone else that cares, I wanted to see if the regular Megalodons can take down Motor just as easy, seeing as they had less attack. So while you're sitting in your chair saying, hey, Sizen cheated, nah, I'm actually putting myself at quite a bit of a disadvantage in my eyes. Now that that's out of the way, I went back to my base so I could craft as many Megalodon saddles as I possibly could. And as you could see from the footage a couple of seconds ago, I ended up leveling up all of my Megalodons, that way I'd be ready to fight Motor with no issues. And do you remember when I said that these things can swim insanely fast? This is what I'm talking about. In what world does a spider swim faster than most of the sea creatures in this game? I'm gonna be honest though, ARK stopped making sense to me after a Mozchops could kill a T-Rex. Anyways, it wasn't until this point that I found out that certain missions have certain loot pools, so I started running hide and seek a bunch of times because they were dropping really good Rex saddles, and that's exactly what I needed. And the time you've all been waiting for, day 55 rolled around, and I finally gained up the courage to fight Motor. So with my Megalodons all lined up and my Basilo tankier than a tank, I decided it was time to go in. Going into this, I had a little bit of information, but I knew I was supposed to kill these eel minions before I could do any real damage to Motor. And now that the eel minions were dead, it was finally time for damage phase on this big whale. And as you can see, the reason we use Megalodons for this fight is because of the hefty amount of health that Motor has versus the bleed attack that the Megalodons have. They deal percentage-based damage, which is a lot of 490,000. In this fight, there are 3 different phases for damage, and in between each of those phases, you must try your best to dodge whirlpools, electric eels, and also electric balls. Do that and you will be just fine. Do be warned though that the eel minion's electric attack does damage to you even if you are on a mount. Also, all Genesis bosses are timed whether you are on single player or not, but for this fight it is not an issue at all. But we finally ended up taking down Motor, and the Megalodons did prove themselves worthy for sure. So of course I had no other option but to go bully Motor once again. Hopefully. But on beta this time. So in the beta version of this fight, Motor has an extra 200,000 health than he did in Gamma, and its attacks also hit a lot harder. It wasn't until this very moment that I realized that Motor is not a whale, it's a freaking eel. Anyways, aside from my realization, the reason I wanted to complete this on beta was so I could unlock the engram for the tech helmet, which would offer me a higher tier for my armor setup overall and give me a better fighting chance against the final boss, the Master Controller himself. And do you see my health? I wasn't paying attention, but it doesn't matter because I'm a walking legend. I should mention quickly, my favorite dino so far was Lucas. Lucas was my first mutated Rex I ever got in this playthrough. So, basically, decided I'd run cheaper by the pack on Alpha, and I'll let you see for yourself. Day 56, I had the bright idea of running cheaper by the pack on Alpha, and I panicked and I could not find Whistle Aggressive, and my Utyrannus ended up dying. I should have done, and what I now know is that I should have just whistled neutral and that would have solved my entire issue, but you know what, like I said, I panicked. And this part right here is where me talking about Lucas is important, because I was on a really weak Rex and I decided, hey, maybe I should hop on Lucas. Because for some godforsaken reason, I didn't cancel the mission, I continued on with it. My 2 other tames died immediately, and Lucas started getting screwed up by all the other raptors. I couldn't run because of how fast they were hitting me, but just the fact that I was able to squeeze out of there just in time before Lucas died, I knew that he was the one that I would save and cherish for the rest of this game. Something that I noticed after doing the cheaper by the pack on beta the first time with my Spino is that once you get a certain distance away from that main fight, they stop attacking you. Both days 57 and 58, I ran as many missions as possible in the Arctic biome to try to get closer to that 58 goal that I needed to fight the final boss. The easiest but most tedious mission I did was ice fishing. Now let me tell you, if you do not have patience, don't do this because this will test you. Is it easy? Yes. Does it count towards my missions? Yes, but you have to sit here and wait in hopes that a fish will grab the line. I only ended up running this on Gamma because I lost my mind. The wow factor is just not there for this one. On day 59, I found that there was a Ferox cave literally right next to me. To tame a Ferox, you have to passive feed it element, and a lot of element at that. Luckily for me, the Hexagon store sells it at the hefty price of 2,000 hexagons, so I ended up buying 11, which is as much as I could purchase. For some reason, I couldn't just access the element from my hotbar directly, so I had to go into my inventory to consume it next to the guy. When you feed these things element, they become the beast of all beasts. They are a killing machine that you must not be in the way of. This is the perfect example of the transformation right here, and I gotta say it's worse than most horror movies. After feeding it the last bit of element, all you have to do is wait for it to calm down, and once it does, that Ferox is yours. So at the moment, the only information I know about these guys is as a pet, they can just chill on your shoulder, but as soon as you feed them element, they go absolutely berserk. Oh baby, we are a killing machine. As you can see, the Ferox's attack speed is through the roof, so it never gives our opponent the chance to actually fight back. And apparently, the more you feed them element, the more they get addicted, and when that addiction bar reaches max, they end up getting a gigantic melee buff. Day 60 forward, we're gonna pick up the pace a little bit, because you guys already know all about mating and breeding and hatching of eggs, imprinting, and doing missions, and all of that good stuff. So day 60 through 65 was all about mating, and also grinding for the resources to make myself an industrial forge that I would never use. All the babies you see on the screen right now, there was supposed to be the first generation of mutations in there, which there was, but the second generation was born as well, so it was perfect timing. So now that I had the ability to breed the perfect babies, I started naming them for the final boss fight. It was going to be controller 1 through 19, with Lucas being the 20th tame. Towards the end of day 65, I brought my good old forge to life, and the reason I wanted to pick up the pace on things towards the end of the video was so we could spend as much time in the boss arena as possible. Day 66, I tested out this mining drill that we saw from earlier in the video, and it did really good. And that's all I did on day 66. Was farm metal. Days 67 through 73 was the biggest grind I have done yet, and that was running hide and seek a total of 23 times. It took me 23 runs of hide and seek to finally be able to get enough Rex saddles for my entire army. Hot damn, what a gold mine. By day 77, I only had up to controller 13 bred up, and I was kind of getting nervous because I still had to level all 20 Rexes, but luckily after going at this non-stop for a full another day, it was day 78 that I finally got the last 2 Rexes I needed for my team. So once controller 18 and 19 were fully matured along with all the other Rexes that were still maturing, I would have to go level them up. Yet another thing that I had to make sure I stayed on top of was making shotgun ammo, because I was running low, and for the boss fight I wanted a total of 200 minimum. Day 79 and 80, I found myself back in the lava biome to complete the last bit of missions I needed to be able to take on the master controller. And the very last mission I needed to finish was in this crystal cave, which was absolutely beautiful. This definitely would be considered one of the toughest missions as far as hide and seek type stuff goes, because of the fact that in this cave there was magmasaurs and rock elementals. But luckily for me, I had Lucas with me, and nothing stands in the way of Lucas without dying. Day 81, I found out a very important piece of information that no one has ever let me know about ARK, which was the fact that Rex babies offer a dumb thick amount of experience when you kill them. So I ended up setting all my Rexes to mating, that way I could stack up on some eggs, and then when it came time to level, I would just kill the babies, and boom, I'm now a certified psychopath. I'm sorry for this, but it was the fastest way for leveling. So I did some testing, and I found out that each of my Rexes had to kill 9 babies to be able to get over 50,000 health and over 1,000 melee, which was only the bare minimum for the recommended stats going into the Gamma fight. And I still had to do this 18 more times. Also, while leveling up my Rexes, I figured that I would make as many med brews as possible to top them off before going into this fight. Day 82, I dyed all my armor purple, and I bring you guys the signature Eisseisen look. And quickly, another thing while we're here, I did want to mention that one of my favorite things about this map was the fact that for the final boss, you did not need to get any tributes, so no artifacts and no trophies, which was amazing. For the last 9 Rexes, they needed to stay out and keep breeding so that they had eggs to kill as well. So after you do the very simple math, over the next couple of days I would have to save up a total of 81 eggs before finally leveling up the last 9 Rexes. Day 84 rolled around and I had the 81 eggs I needed plus a couple of more, so now all I needed to do was hatch 9 eggs at a time 9 different times and finish the leveling process. Day 86 I leveled my final Rex, and my preparations for the final boss were all complete. At this point in the game there wasn't much left for me to do, so I spent the rest of my time on this arc by doing cinematics and tying up other little odds and ends I had to do. But on day 90 I brought Captain and Hook up to the Arctic biome on top of a mountain to watch the sunset with my 2 OG tames. Unfortunately, Gage couldn't be here with us today because he was brutally murdered by a Spino. I miss you, buddy. Every boss fight needs a build-up, so I present to you our final journeys. With our final day just around the corner, when I got back to my base, I realized that I forgot to make sniper and AR ammo, so I went ahead and did that. And then the last thing I needed was some cactus broth, so I got some cactus sap from the store, and then I was able to craft it in the cooking pot. Cactus broth would take some of the stress off my shoulders of being targeted by everything on the battlefield, but other than that, I had all my gear in my inventory and I was ready to go. It's day 100, so with some of these soups, they're not going to do anything or have any effect for this fight, but we're going to use them anyways because we have them. But the main things was the Battle Tartar, which is going to give me increased melee, speed, but it is going to reduce my health, food, and water over time. And then the other being the Cactus Broth, which is going to reduce the amount of wild dinos attacking me, which is very helpful. The time has come to say goodbye to everything that we had worked so hard for. We made it to day 100, so anything that happens from this point forward, I will be perfectly happy going down, knowing that I tried my best. But as our time comes to an end, we start the final test on Gamma, and we wait in suspense.
Codebreaker somewhere around here. If we feed it with code keys,
okay, well this arena is highly intimidating. I guess I'm just grabbing all these keys and depositing them in the terminal, and then we'll go from there. These drones are so annoying. This music is gonna give me a heart attack. It's so freaking intense. Jeez. Okay. Alright, I have 80 keys, so what do we do next? I'm assuming I deposit them here.
We're about to teleport.
About to teleport? Okay. Whoa. Oh, dude, that is sick. Oh my gosh, there's so much happening. Oh, there's so many keys over here. Holy crap.
Don't keep those keys. Feed them into the code breaker.
Jeez, dude, everything is just freaking going nuts. How many freaking stages are there? Oh, I do not have a helmet on. I should probably put that on. There we go. Dude, this cutscene is so freaking sick. Oh. Oh, he looks pissed. This might be the last stage. Yep, the final test. Oh boy.
And I may be merciful, but keep challenging me, and I may confront this entire simulation.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Laser beams? Alright. Oh, this is gonna be a lot tougher, I can already tell. Ew. Oh, come on, buddy. Attack those things.
It's all a simulation, ain't it?
Alright, next 20 keys, and then I believe I should be able to damage this guy. Oh my gosh. Come on, come on. Alright, do I get a damage phase? Yes, okay, awesome. Jeez, sniper's not too bad. Try the assault rifle. Oh, that is melting him. Ooh! Okay. Okay. Oh, he's immune. Okay, okay. So I guess I have to do 40 more keys. It looks like there's going to be 4 damage phases. Oh, no. Oh, come on, come on. Run. Jeez, those humans deal so much more damage than like the other dinos. What the hell is up with that?
There are heaps of keys on the ground. Pick them up and
This is definitely the most intense boss fight in ARK. This is insane. Oh man, my health is actually getting pretty low. Dude, what? Are you kidding me? Wait, I just lost a Rex? I thought I over-prepared. Come on, give me some more damage. Let's go. Jeez, man. Okay, halfway, yeah. So it looks like there's gonna be 2 more damage phases. Jeez, come on, come on, come on. Come here, Lucas. Damn. A Reaper and a Giga. Oh, we need help over here. Oh, no. No, 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 no. No, I cannot die here. Holy crap, run. Oh. Dude, how am I alive? How am I alive? This is a lot harder than I expected. Dude, and these drones just don't stop, man. Give me a break. I have no keys. I haven't even started this damage phase. I have 7 minutes left. I don't even know if I'm gonna make it. Oh, geez. No, Lucas, I'm sorry. I'm hiding behind you. Come on, drones.
Why would you take a test that you cannot possibly pass?
Because we know something you don't know.
Oh, dude, I'm starting to stress out, man. My health is so low. Bro, these drones just don't stop spawning. It's like every time I kill one, there's 4 more.
Why are you laughing? We're the ones winning around here.
Okay, I really need to start picking up these keys. I can't afford to, like, run out of time, obviously. Oh no, Rexes are dropping! Holy hell, dude. Alright, about to get another damage phase. Oh, dodge the beam, dodge the beam. Oh, how did that not hit? Oh. Okay, okay, okay! Come on, give me some good damage. I only have the shotgun ammo left. But luckily, this thing has stupid range. There we go, 1 more phase. 5 minutes. Oh, jeez, dude, the Rexes keep falling. I really thought they would be fine. Another one, come on!
There are heaps of keys on the ground.
Oh, that's a Reaper, that's a Reaper! Come on, we're so close, but so far. Jeez, dude! Oh my gosh, I'm getting smacked from every angle. Come on, 1 more. 1 more key. There we go. Where's the terminal? Where the hell is it? Oh, these drones, bro.
There are heaps of keys on the ground. Pick them up.
Oh my gosh, the freaking terminal's all the way over there. And that's a Giga. Let's go, come on. Final damage phase. Alright, dude, you are going down. Come on. You're mine, baby. You're mine. Let's go. Woo! That fight made me love this game a million times more. That was the coolest thing I've ever experienced. Whoa, what?
Hello? Hello? Wake up, survivor. Don't panic. Old HLNA's got ya. 1 sec. So, good news. We passed the Genesis simulation. Welcome to the real world. The other survivors are still trapped in the simulation, but we're free. Bugger! The corruption's here too. Apparently it followed us from the simulation. But that's impossible. We We might be the only ones awake. So let's get geared up and deal with the corruption before it spreads. It says here, tech suit for emergency use only. This definitely qualifies. Now that you aren't so squishy, we should figure out which part of the colony ship we're in. If we just... Oh.
Oh, what? Oh, no way. I guess I'll see you guys there.